Hello friends, my name is CM Mohit Gupta and you are watching Etax Helpline. So today we are meeting to discuss the GST scrutiny notices. As we all know, the GST department has started screening the GST returns and they have started sending the notices to the taxpayer for various discrepancies. Most of the notices are generated by a computer audit techniques. Department software is generating the reports, discrepancy reports, and these reports are sent to the designated assessing officers, and then these assessing officers are sending notices to the taxpayers, preferably via online mode, for which you have to reply online also. So today we will discuss multiple permutations of notices which taxpayers are getting or which they might can get if not yet received. So let's check the exclusive list. First one is the discrepancy in outward taxable supplies between GSTR1 and GSTR3. So you have to make if you get a notice and there is a discrepancy, you have to make a reconciliation and need to submit that why there is a discrepancy, and if there is any additional tax required to be discharged, that you have to discharge. Then payment of GST liability via reverse charge mechanism. How this can be verified? This can be verified by two mechanisms. First of the mechanism is that the supplier who have supplied your reverse charge liability have filed his GSTR1, and by filing that GSTR1 in your GSTR2A, your input tax credit, which is 0, is reflecting with the tag liability need to be discharged under reverse charge mechanism. So that is the first permutation. Second permutation, that you have to discharge your reverse charge liability and you have to avail the input tax credit for the liability which you have discharged via reverse charge mechanism. So there is a difference between the amount of liability paid and the input tax credit availed in GSTR 3B. So this can be the second reason, preferably the three reasons. First is difference in turnover between 1 and 3B. Second, reverse charge mechanism, where we have studied two cases. One, difference in liability and credit. Second, definitely there is a difference in liability and credit, but department quote it through your GSTR 2A. Then payment of reverse charge liability via cash ledger. So department can scrutinize your cash ledger and can assess whether you have discharged your liability properly via cash ledger. Then next is comparison of GST ITC, which can be comparison between GSTR 3B versus GSTR 2A versus GSTR 2B. So as we all know now, currently GSTR 2B is an operational. So for first 3 years, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, 20, 21, for first 4 years, department will go with comparison of GSTR 3B versus GSTR 2A. However, there is a second scenario whether that comparison is legally bounding on the taxpayer or not. That is also a different concept. But department is sending those notices. They are comparing GSTR 3B with GSTR 2A and they are sending the notices of ITC mismatch. For current financial year 21-22 and onwards, you can get a notice of comparison between 3B versus 2A versus 2B also, because you have to avail the ITC according to 2B, not according to 2A. So that is your primary document to avail the input tax. Now, one of the revenue collection tool of GST department is TDS and TCS. So your turnover or purchase as appearing in TDS and TCS returns filed by the vendors and suppliers, that can also be one of the tool for comparison of your outward supplies in your GSTR 3B. So if you are an e-commerce operator or you are supplying to government departments, you have to make sure that your liabilities have been properly discharged, because that is also one of the audit tool available with the GST department. Now next one is related to importers. So if you have done the import of goods, definitely you have discharged your IGST liability. You have to discharge your IGST liability at the port, and then you have to avail that ITC. So this discharging of liability and the reverse charge mechanism for the importer and availment of ITC is one of the comparison tool through which you can get a notice. Now the next one is related to e-way bill. So as we all know, this is applicable on the traders only. So turnover appearing in on e-way portal and turnover appearing in GSTR 01 and 3B is one of the comparison tool to get the GST scrutiny notices. Then next one is related to ITC. So as we all know that government have stringent their provisions related to GST registration, GST cancellation, retrospective cancellation of GST registration. So if you have availed ITC for the procurement from some particular vendor and that particular vendor GST registration got cancelled retrospectively, then your whole ITC which was availed through that particular vendor becomes ineligible ITC, and once it becomes ineligible ITC, you have to reverse that ITC and you can get a notice from that designated officer. Say if department has taken an action against a particular vendor, particular taxpayer, and he has given supplies to 500 taxpayers, then all those 500 taxpayers can get the notice for ineligible ITC. Then next one of the thing which is also computer automatic thing, that is that you have availed ITC from some particular vendor, but that particular vendor have filed his GSTR1 but have not filed GSTR3B. So if that person have not filed his GSTR3B, your as per the latest amendment by Finance Act 2022, your ITC becomes ineligible. So department have that mechanism to check whether any person have filed the GSTR1 as well as GSTR3B, and tax liability shown in GSTR1 has been properly discharged in GSTR3B. So if any person have not discharged their GSTR3B liability, then all the parties who have make the procurement from that particular taxpayer or vendor, their input tax credit shall become ineligible. So this is one of the comparison tool through which your ITC can be disallowed and you can get a notice from the GST. Now the next one is the reversal of ITC. As we all know that you have to reverse your ITC as per section 37, as per rule 37, rule 42, rule 43. So if you have not reversed the ITC, the common ITC, ITC availed for some exempt or non-taxable supplies, then you can get a notice from the department. And last but not the least, for financial year 17, 18, 18, 19 and 20, some of the taxpayers have received notices from the department regarding payment of interest and late fees. Definitely late fees has been paid automatically, but still there are certain periods in financial year 17, 18 and 18, 19 where late fees was not automatically calculated. So now they are getting notices from the department for the payment of late fees as well as interest for the late filing of 3B as under GST. Discharging of the tax liability comes when you have filed your 3B. So these are few parameters, and the famous parameters are comparison of 3B with 2A, ITC, comparison of GSTR1 with 3B, outward taxable supplies, some of the taxpayer registration got cancelled and retrospectively cancelled, and all the vendors get the notices. Then the bogus taxpayer trial which is going on. If you have done any procurement against which you have not get any service supplies but you have the invoice, you are supposed to get a notice from the department. So these are the permutations. If you have any query, you can connect me, you can comment. If you have liked this video, please like the video, please share the video, please subscribe the channel. Thank you friends.